My name's Daniel, and I'm here to tell you about Exway's Riot. So let's just jump into it. If you didn't already know, Riot is Exway's belt drive system. With the Exway X1 Pro, you can use either hub motors or you can use Riot. Currently, the Exway X1 Pro is already available with the hub motors, but the Riot kit has just recently been finalized. What's different about the final version? So number one, the final version is quieter than before. It is quieter than before, but just keep in mind that this is not a quiet belt drive system. When you're riding, you don't really notice it. You don't really notice the sound because you got wind in your ears and stuff. The noise doesn't bother me personally. In fact, I actually really like the noise. And if you want other people to know that you're coming so that they get out of the way, the noise actually helps. Exway probably felt that it was too loud before, so it's quieter now. But I wouldn't call it quiet. It's just quieter. Number two, 15% more torque. Comparing the final version and the prototype, I can't really feel the 15% difference. But, any small increase in torque is always a good thing. Like especially if you're a heavier person or you live in a place that has a lot of hills. More torque is always good. And man, this board does have a lot of torque. You can see here that I changed the bushings. That's because there's so much torque and this board is so fast. With the stock bushings, I felt like it was getting a little bit sketchy. So I've changed to harder bushings. I got reds on the board side and blue on the road side for the back. In the front, I'm using blue on the board side, and on the road side, I'm using the stock Exway bushing. Now keep in mind that this orange bushing, this is Exway's orange bushing. This is not Seismic's orange bushing. Seismic's orange and Exway's orange are different bushings, so just keep that in mind. So yeah, with the harder bushings in the back, it feels a lot better to me now. For carving, I feel like it's a bit too stiff, but for high speeds, this is really good. I mean, you kind of have to choose one or the other. Like, do you want to do a lot of carving or do you want to go fast? Well, for this board, it's meant for going fast. Number three, the turning radius has been improved, and they did that by adjusting the angle of the motor mounts. So on the prototype, it had this issue where the motors would touch the deck when turning, but I think all they did was change the angle of the motor mounts a bit. So now I no longer have that problem. I can turn just fine. I can make a U-turn, it's not a problem anymore. The motors do still kind of block the charging port, so it is still a little bit of a challenge to get the charger cable in there. But if you want, you can actually move the motors to the back. I'm gonna do that just to give it a try, but I don't think I'll keep it that way because this charging issue, it's not really a big issue anymore. I think it's a little bit easier now. If I were to put the motors in the back, then I won't be able to step on the tail to pick up the board. So I think I would prefer to keep the motors in their default position, but I'm gonna try putting them in the back anyway. And number four, they've done some other optimizations to improve the motor's stability so they don't shake so much at high speeds. Oh yeah, and also the belt tension is adjustable now. I already mentioned this before in another video, but on the prototype, the belt tension was not adjustable, but on the final thing, it is adjustable. For those of you who want more details about the motors, I'm going to put some specs on the screen. And if you want to pause the video to read through them, you should do that now because I'm about to move on to talk about the range that I got. I weigh about 70 kilograms. The weather yesterday was 26 degrees Celsius and today was 29 degrees Celsius. Today was pretty hot, but when you're riding, it didn't actually feel that bad. Yesterday, I got about 16 kilometers. Today, I got about 15.5 kilometers. So pretty consistent. There's a lot of variables that can affect range. A little bit of difference is like meaningless. I went on the same route both times, but I probably accelerated a little bit differently. So yeah, it's totally normal for the range to vary. So the range with the Riot kit is definitely a bit shorter than with hub motors. With the hub motors, I got, was it 19 kilometers? 19, 20, 21? somewhere around there, around 20 kilometers. But man, the torque on this thing, it's fun. So like I said in my other video, the Exway X1 is great if you like to ride aggressively. Well, the Exway X1 Pro with Riot and with turbo turned on, man, dude, it's so strong. It's a lot of fun. Like charging up the hill. I mean, okay, I don't have hills in Shanghai because Shanghai's totally flat, but there are small stretches of slopes. Like, I mean, I don't know what to call them. They're not hills, but they're like mounds. But you know, just being able to charge up that stuff, it's totally awesome. Oh, I should talk about voltage sag. So they've done some stuff with the software. Even when I was down to 30%, I wasn't really feeling any sag. I know many of you watching probably have the Exway X1 already. Maybe you can comment on that. If you're using the latest firmware, did you notice less sag than before? Because I think I did. So yeah, even at 30%, I think I was getting at least 35. I think I hit 40. I'm not totally sure, but the torque was still really good, and the top speed was still quite high. I think it was when I got down to 20% when the sag started to become a bit more noticeable. Yeah, and the top speed started to gradually get lower and lower until it got down to about 6%. At 6%, the board didn't let me accelerate anymore. I could still brake. Well, actually, with yesterday I had free mode turned on. Today I had free mode turned off. Free mode is where if you pull back on the lever, the board goes into reverse, kind of like the boosted board. So yesterday I had free mode turned on. With free mode on at around 6% power, you might not be able to brake. That's just something to keep in mind, but it's okay. I mean, by the time you're down to 6%, your board is going to be going really slow anyway. But that's just something to keep in mind if you're going downhill, like you might not be able to brake. With free mode turned off, you can brake at any percentage level. There are pros and cons to both. So with free mode turned on, you can of course go into reverse really easily. With free mode turned off, I feel like braking is stronger. Okay, because here's the thing. With free mode turned on, you have to be a bit more careful with braking, because once you've slowed down to a certain speed, if you're braking too hard, then the wheels, they just go into reverse and you lose traction. So you just got to be a bit careful. But with free mode turned off, okay, there are 3 things I want to mention. If you brake really hard, you got to be careful a little. It could slide a little bit. To me, that's a good thing because I want to be in control. I want to have that kind of control. Because look, there are different kinds of surfaces. There are going to be situations where you will be able to brake at full strength without sliding, and there are going to be other situations where if you brake at full strength, you're going to end up sliding a bit. So I like that I'm able to do that with this board. The second thing is, okay, if you're at a full stop and you apply the brakes completely, like if you pull back completely on the lever, you can pretty much stay in place. Like with the standard Hobby Wing remote, a lot of times it seems like even if you're braking at full strength, you can still kind of push the board forward and back. But with the Exway X1, I'm not sure if it's because of the Riot kit, but if you pull back all the way on the lever and you're at a full stop, the board doesn't really move. Like, I mean, you can force it to move, but you have to put in quite a bit of strength to force it to move. But it does a good job of keeping the board in place. What was the third thing? I don't know, I can't remember. So yeah, I really like this board. It is noticeably heavier than the Exway X1, so I think I am going to use both. So on the Exway X1, I'm now using the stock bushings again. So I think I would like to use the X1 for regular errands because it's much easier to carry. Well, not much easier, but it is easier to carry. Like, it takes less effort to carry the X1 than the X1 Pro. I think the Riot kit on the X1 Pro adds some weight also. Oh, I should weigh it, and I'll put the number on the screen. If you're considering these two boards, for portability, get the X1. But for performance, man, get the X1 Pro. Get Riot. Riot is awesome. So if you're not familiar with the difference between hub motors and belt drive, the major benefit of belt drive is that the wheels absorb bumps on the road much better than hub motors. Hub motors, if you hit a bumpy surface, you're gonna feel it in your feet. But with belt drive, the wheels absorb the bump much better. And you can also use third-party wheels. So if you want to use bigger wheels or smaller wheels, as long as the core is compatible with the pulleys that Exway provides, then you can use those wheels. So Exway provides 3 sets of pulleys. One set is, of course, for Exway wheels. A second set is for ABEC 11 flywheels. And a third set is for orangutan wheels, for the Kegels. kegels. So yeah, as long as your third-party wheels are compatible with those cores, then yeah, you can use them. Oh, there's a size limit also. I think you can probably put on 100 millimeters. I'm not totally sure, but if you go bigger than that, they may or may not fit, and you might get a wheel bite also. So I mean, this board is not really designed for big wheels, so I wouldn't go too big anyway. I would actually like to put on 80 millimeter wheels on this board. In fact, I'm going to do that. The torque is going to be insane if I put on 80 millimeters, because you get more torque with smaller wheels. Anyway, that's it for this video.